All right. Yes. All right. So, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Enneagram Moms interviews.
I'm really excited to be
This
here.
is awesome. This is awesome. So we are live both on my page and Rachel's page. This is like so beyond fun. So this is the Enneagram Moms interviews.
Joining us.
And this is Rachel.
Yes. I'm so distracted. I'm like, squirrel.
Yes, no.
Squirrel.
And you know what? Your feed is blowing up with some awesome people. So I am so pumped. Yes. Welcome. Good morning.
Thanks, Jimmy, on the feedback check.
Yes. All right. We did it. We are here. We are here. I love you.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. So, as a reminder, the Enneagram is a wonderful tool for developing self-awareness and empathy. And the mission of this show, and I always read it, but that's because I want to make sure I'm crystal clear, to amplify moms' voices by telling our stories, honoring our differences, and offering useful tips from our specific Enneagram strengths that will help all moms right now, but we see each other, and this is a safe space for us, so we can high five and stuff like that. And before we get started, let's give a shout out to Kelly Baldessari Media.
I love her.
Our girl Kelly, who is sponsoring this episode. Kelly is an amazing graphic designer, photographer, videographer,
website developer.
I mean, she does it all. She's done it for both of us. She's amazing. And her motto is to assist your brand and expand its power platform-wide. Kelly is giving away a free logo. You guys, she's giving away a free logo. So if you're starting a new business, if you're even thinking about starting a new business and you just need to ideate, if you want to create that vision, this woman is giving away a free logo.
Yeah.
Take advantage of that. All you need to do is comment, watch this episode and comment, and you've entered the drawing.
That's so great.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, on to our interview.
Okay.
And this is so funny because we just talk all the time, and now I'm interviewing her. So here we go. Yes.
No pressure. I'm ready.
No pressure. All right.
I hope you guys can hear us. Steph said that she couldn't hear us, but Jim said she could. And Rua, I love her. We're type 7 and love coffee.
Yes. Cheers to that. Hey, Melissa, are you typing in from Turkey? Good grief, she's in Turkey right now.
Get out of here. Oh my gosh. What time is it in Turkey?
I hope. Probably time for coffee.
Yeah, always.
All right.
Okay.
So, Rachel.
Yes.
2020 has been a year for everybody.
Yeah.
You've had yourself what? I mean, there are two people I know this year that have had like this amplified version of 2020, and Rachel is one of them. So tell me about yourself, who you are, what you're up to these days, what's been going on in your life. Tell them.
Hi, I'm Rachel. And I am a deep, true believer of gratitude. I believe that my purpose here is to spread the message of gratitude and build community. I have done that through Grateful Grams, which is our graham cracker company. We say we're a gratitude company that makes a cookie, not a cookie company that talks about gratitude. We also have a nonprofit, which is the Incubator Kitchen Collective, which is a shared use commercial kitchen space for other food entrepreneurs.
How many businesses have gone through that kitchen?
Oh, we've helped about 150.
It's amazing. That is amazing.
Yeah, and we just turned 7 last month. So we've been doing the kitchen for 7 years.
Wow.
And all companies I've started with no money. I started Grateful Grams with $1,000 and the Incubator with nothing.
And I will tell you, Grateful Grams is in distribution in Whole Foods, in Kroger's. It's in distribution in a lot of
You can order them
stores.
directly.
Yes, order directly.
I think we have a code out there for you,
yes.
too. So you get a discount if you follow this
Yeah, Rach
one.
was our first sponsor. Thank you for that. Thank you for believing in this series.
Showing up and doing this.
Yeah.
This is awesome work.
All right, so that's a part of your work world.
Yeah.
Tell me about family, kids.
Oh, yeah, I've got all that. Yep.
Those people.
I am married. I've been married for, I think it was our 13th wedding anniversary. We just celebrated it in the midst. It was just a couple weeks ago. We kind of were like ships passing in the night. We're like, we'll put that on the docket for October.
Right.
I have 3 kids. Camden's 19. He is a sophomore at UC in the Linder School of Business for marketing and some business. And then I've got Rosie, who will be 11 next month. and Ellis is 9, so 4th and 5th graders, and a stepson who's a sophomore out at the School of Mines in Colorado. So we have the 2 older boys and then the 2 little ones.
That is awesome. And with your family, I mean, your family's a deeply spiritual family, and I say that it's like both you and your husband have like a lot of really interesting and good belief systems about gratitude and about, really tapping into that self-awareness, part of why you're interested in the Enneagram, right?
Yeah. It's funny, my dad gave me an Enneagram book when I was in grade school. Like, kid you not, like he, in 6th or 7th grade, he
5 wing 4, sorry.
Yeah. he said, you probably will like this and learn something about yourself. Read it. I never did. I mean, Dad, come on. But I always knew that it was a tool because he has been using that tool as a spiritual tool for 20 plus years, right?
Yes.
I mean, a long time, longer than that, I guess, if he gave it to me when I was a kid. So, I've been familiar with this tool. Yes, my husband and I think I have deep spiritual tradition just from being raised in a way that was all loving and all accepting. I was taught gratitude when I was a kid, and I understand it now more today, and like I think have uncovered the truths about it because I've studied it for so long. And then my husband does, he is more the Native American, which I find myself in too. I mean, we both have done ceremonies on that path. For him, it was a path to his sobriety. So he's been sober for 14 years. And but there's deeply spiritual foundations. What all of it has shown us is that the wholeness of ourselves, the love from deep spiritual foundations is love, unconditional, the wholeness of just being here and in this conversation, like the enoughness that brings, right?
Yes.
So there are all of these waves, but they've all, when it kind of said earlier about 2020, oh crap, I don't know how to, sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Okay. That happens. The tools that I've been practicing for decades now has gotten 2020 to be so full of grace.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
Right? So I joke and say this has been one of the hardest, but really it's been one of the most beautiful, stretching, growing, surrendered, allowing years I've ever had. Yes. And I'm really thankful for it because I think this was a year, Whitney, where I allowed the tools and the practices that I have collected to actually seep in. Right? And you and I kind of talked about that, this idea that we keep taking classes or we keep reading books or we keep
self-care from like the books, to teach you how to live.
Right.
And like that self-help is self-help, not self-care. But like,
and I think
you saturate, right?
You oversaturate, and then you're left with all of these tools and the lack that sometimes those create because you think, I can't do it, or why do I do it this way? And, to allow all of it to seep into our bones, allow it to actually unfold and learn the lesson. And we joke about it from the toolbox. I love, we all have these toolboxes, whether go to church and that, right? Like, whatever that foundation is. But, if you don't pick up the damn hammer, the toolbox doesn't serve you.
Right.
So,
yes, amen to that. And speaking of, I think that we have a tool here that Rachel created that I would love to share with you. And this is kind of a special exception for this show that we're going to do a quick gratitude gram card reading that Rachel's going to do for us.
Oh yeah,
and kind of bless this.
Yeah. So I created this deck of cards because I love what social media has allowed me to build through the message of gratitude, and it's hard. I want people to realize that they can do it too.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Not to say that we're all special in our own way, but there's nothing special, right? Like, I just show up and I do what I believe in.
Yeah.
And I really try to greet it. So these cards were literally in the middle of the night, came in really strong, and I created the whole deck within just a couple of days, and I did all the artwork for them. So I think they're a tool for alignment. I think they're a tool for connecting back into your heart.
Yes.
It's a great tool when you're feeling stuck. So what if we just set a little intention today to say, may our weekend, as the seasons begin to change and the season of inwardness is at our feet, may we allow it. May we go inward and we hear and we see and we feel with certainty and understanding and grace what is ahead of us. And may it come for all of us as gently as possible. And so it is.
Yes. And so it is. All right.
And this popped right off as soon as I finished. It says trust. Trust yourself, your gut, your intuition. Trust it.
Okay. And can I just speak to this for a minute? As an 8, with the number with the biggest trust issues from the gut triad, that was a little gift from the universe.
Yeah.
I love it. Trust yourself. Trust your gut. Trust your intuition. Trust it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Isn't it? I got goosebumps.
I did too.
Because I think it's true. Like, it's that simple enough. We understand it. We don't need to go into it. But yeah, you guys, you're everything.
That's right. You are, just as you are.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I loved that. And let me see. I see Dawn, Amber, and Kyla. Hi, guys. Thanks for joining. And Kyla, yay, putting the tools to work. Yes, putting the tools to work. And also, I'm going to give away a pack of these this month before month end. So stay tuned for how to enter that drawing. All right. So we've touched on who you are, what you're about. Do you feel like you're a 7 wing 8?
I'm a 7 wing 8.
Do you feel like
I took 12 online tests, you guys.
12. You know how I feel about tests.
I know. And I was never a 7 in any of them. So I swear by Whitney's workshop. She led a workshop for a group of women. Gosh, it's probably been 2 years, or a year and a half now. And I was like, oh, I'm a 7. Yeah. The hell was I thinking, a 2?
And so that was great because when you figured that out, did the Enneagram as a tool shift because you arrived?
Yeah, because I think I understood it. I was like, oh, this works.
Right.
Yeah, this is me.
It's all about the understanding and the motivation behind it. And tests just, they get you started in interest, and there is a value to that, but be careful. And you have to do the work to really value the Enneagram as a tool. And by the way, thank you for letting me come do that workshop. That was awesome.
Yeah.
So do you feel like these activities speak to your Enneagram type? Why or why not? Just your typical day-to-day, your jobs, your philosophy?
Yeah, I do think, the 7 there is this fearlessness that comes, right? This willingness, this, I'm not an adventure seeker from the point of danger. I drive slow on the highway and I take my time everywhere. But I do see it, right? I'm bringing people together, celebrations, and when I look at everything from the way that I want to parent to how I run my businesses, it comes from that space of excitement and joy.
Yes. Absolutely.
Which I think is 7.
Well, and you are an entrepreneur.
Yes, I would at this rate probably make a really bad employee.
8s have that issue too, but for different reasons. So I mean, you're a maker. You're a maker of, and the entrepreneurship in and of itself. You may not be racing down the highway or base jumping, but you're starting businesses and you're working on your own, which is a risk in and of itself.
It is,
and it takes a certain amount of courage. You can go do this scared, but it does take a certain amount of courage and boldness to say, I can do this. And so let's see, we have Grateful Grams, the Incubator Kitchen Collective, the Good People Festival.
Yeah.
So she's had a festival for the past few years. Of course, COVID kind of,
Didn't do it
crapped
this
on
year,
that. But had a festival gathering locally with musicians and merchants to get everybody together to celebrate the summer and support each other. So that got
a little podcast.
Yes, the podcast and 2 podcasts actually.
Yeah.
First, and then the Grateful Gatherings, which getting women together, and all of these things birthed something else for others. So this is the magic of energy and of creating, is when you create, that energy spreads. So some of these things are no longer active, but you know what they did? They gave a platform and a connection to others to go out and be and do for themselves. And that is the magic of entrepreneurship and creativity. And that's one of the magics that the Sevens really carry. So, I want to
allow
honor
things. I appreciate that. And the flip side with that, Whitney, is that you're right. Things start and end. Mm-hmm. And I think allowing things to have a season sometimes is okay, right?
Yes.
This idea that we've created something, so we just have to keep going whether we like it or not anymore.
Yeah. And forget that.
We don't have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we do. Till it's the right time, right? There is this unfolding that I think happens when you get out of the way of it. Mm-hmm. But like with Kitchen Convos, we did 3 seasons, and it was our 3rd season was our strongest. We had amazing sponsors, and then I felt that need to shift the conversation out of the kitchen and in here to this bigger realm. And so you have to be willing to start it, but you also have to be willing to end it.
Yes, I agree. And then also be willing to admit, like, I know with Sevens, a lot of times Sevens will start something, and when the magic of the beginning is over, have a hard time maintaining interest.
What?
It's easy for an 8 to say that. And so, and that's okay too, though, but being okay with yourself and being okay with your creative magic. And also, Rachel has stick-to-itiveness. Like, she's, there are, plenty of loops that have been opened and closed within, your creative realm. So with that being said, a Seven's motivation is satisfaction. To live life to its fullest. And these motivations are typically developed during childhood. Can you share a little bit about your childhood and what event or circumstances might have helped you develop this motivation?
Yeah, it's funny. I'm the middle.
Which is an interesting child position for a 7.
And I'm in the middle with a sister who's like 7 years older than I am, and then a little brother who's 8 years younger. So there was a lot of change left on each side, right? And my sister loved hi Niche. She'll admit, she broke the rules. Like, she was the go-getter. She's also, I would think, almost probably has some 7 in her. We're both Aries. She's April 7th and I'm April 8th, even though we're 7 years apart. She wasn't afraid of those kinds of adventures, so I learned a lot of what not to do. And then with my little brother,
I'm an oldest. I get that. You set the precedent.
Yeah, right. And I was always too afraid. I was like, I don't want to get in that kind of trouble, so I'll just hang out and be good. Let's just talk about gratitude. But I think that there was part of this development of just being confident, and it came from that lesson my dad gave me when I was in literally 5th grade. I was 6th grade maybe. I just changed schools, and I was the big kid, and those girls were mean and and I went home one day and I'm sobbing and I'm like, oh my God, nobody likes me. And typical 6th grade. And he just said, they love themselves. They don't love themselves. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing you can say or do except to love who you are.
Yes.
So I had this fierce confidence when I was young. I shaved my head and walked into freshman year of an all-girls school with shaved head, bleach blonde, my bell bottoms, my Birkenstocks, and my Lilith Fair shirt on, right? So it was this person, and I always was never afraid, even through high school, I had my best friend.
Yeah.
Abby was my girl.
Mm-hmm.
She had her group of friends, and then I had like little pockets of people, but I would just kind of go through it.
Yeah.
I wasn't a barnacle anywhere,
Yeah.
right? I always just wanted to be me, and I wanted everybody to get along.
Yeah.
I always want people to just we should, right? Like, it's easy. And then I had that confidence, I would say, for a long time. I do think I lost it for a few years, just with, I think, growing two businesses and having two babies, and like you just kind of get lost in survival. And I think I've spent the last 2 years getting back on track. But it's all seasons.
It is. And I think that's a big part of motherhood, you know, is we get off track and on track again over and over.
And I think that's where, like, there's so much beauty in that process, right? Like, I think the times that we get off track is where there's such great discoveries.
Yes.
You know, and we should allow those discoveries to take place. We don't need to should've anymore.
Well, and I think that the stillness, right? Being still.
Yeah.
That's hard for movers and shakers, especially. There are other numbers on the Enneagram that are good at being still, like 5s, like 9s, like even 2s when they're in a good space. And so for aggressive stances like us, and our fellow 3s, we are doers, like hardcore.
And we just made it through like a pandemic, so like, what can't we do now?
The universe said, sit your ass down.
I tell people, and it's so crazy, but like, the pandemic's been one of the best things that's ever happened to me.
Yeah.
Like, truly, I have allowed stillness into my life in a time when I needed it.
Yeah.
Right? And yeah, it's come with a lot of bumps and bruises, but you're gonna tell me you wouldn't have gotten those bumps and bruises if it didn't happen? If it was different? No, that's not. We're fooling ourselves.
I agree. And, you know, I think a hallmark sign of a 7 is FOMO. And I think that so fear of missing out. I think that when a 7 has become very self-aware, she's able to manage that FOMO in a lot better space, right? So how do you deal with FOMO? Does it hit you?
Oh, I have it.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I've learned to, you know, for a few years it was like, if I don't make this, they're going to forget about me. I have to show up. I don't care. Like, we were doing 6 farmers markets a week. We were doing events 2 and 3 nights a week. Like, I did everything. And I think in the beginning it was critical. I think in the beginning I proved to myself that I had the endurance to like push. And then I realized that I can pick the things, or they're not gonna, the ones that every event and every thing I've ever shown up to, swear on my heart, something has come from that.
Yeah.
So there is that piece around FOMO where I have to look at it and say, is it because of FOMO or is it because I'm tired? Right? Like, dig out the reason why because I'm a homebody, and I'm more of a homebody now than I ever have been. I have to force myself to leave.
Yeah.
Thanks, pandemic. You've ruined me. But like, if I know the reason, like, so if it's just FOMO, then it's easier for me to skip it because I know that it's egoic.
Right. FOMO is egoic. Yes, absolutely.
Right? And then if it's, it's Friday and like, I just love being home, that's when I go, put your pants on and go. Because there's going to be somebody there that's going to say something, that's going to ask something, like, it builds the puzzle.
Yep.
So I really have developed that lens, thankfully, because it's important.
Yeah, it is. And I think that just speaks to showing up, you know, thoughtfully showing up. And so one more thing I want to touch on, because we've had 3 7s this week. You're closing out the 7 chapter in the series.
A whole lot of awesomeness.
I know, a whole lot of awesomeness. And both of them said something that I found interesting, and I'm wondering if it's a common denominator with 7s. High school. Did you love it, hate it? What, mixed feelings? And middle school, really. I mean, who doesn't hate middle school?
Middle school was like a weird stopgap for me.
Yeah.
so I didn't love middle school. But high school, I didn't hate it. I went to an all-girl Catholic high school, and I loved that. I thought that was super rad, and I had a fine experience, right? Like, I wasn't the one, I did some plays, I was in, like, the senior high chorus, but I was okay with just, like, I didn't need to prove anything. And, like, right, like, I do feel like I didn't need to, like, make all A+. I didn't need to, like, nail chemistry. Like,
I felt that same way.
I'm never going to use that stuff. Like, just, let's get through this.
You can take chemistry. So.
No.
So.
Did they hate school?
Well,
did they hate high school?
It's interesting. One of them hated school because they were bullied.
Yeah.
One of them hated school but used it as a means to get to things that brought her joy, like socializing, activities, extracurriculars and so forth, and it was like an avenue for that. But not everyone mentions middle school and high school as an influence for their motivation. But all three of you did. Yeah. And so I've been thinking about that connection. And then you also mentioned prior to really arriving at your own truth about others and the way that they treat you, you suffered from some bullying as well. But the wisdom of your father, and I think that those conversations as parents, I mean, if there's one takeaway as parents watching this, it is if your child is falling victim to bullying from other children at school, I think it's a powerful conversation to have with them, that it's not about your child, it's about them and how unhappy they are with themselves, and that the key to the strength of it is that you have to love yourself, and if you can do that, they will no longer get to you.
And you guys, if you think your kids don't understand radical self-love, you really need to step back in your parenting, because they get it. They see it clearer because they're so connected still. They still have that innocence. So, like, they get it. Allow them and treat, like, I've treated all of my kids like mini adults from the beginning, because they get it. They get it on levels we don't understand. And so I think it's a disservice to not give them the tools. And maybe it's because I had those crazy, I mean, I was a freshman in high school, and one of my went to Catholic school. I am not Catholic. And so I always was trying to challenge them on stuff. And, like, one of my teachers gave me a book by Sark, who was, like, old school inspirational teacher, right? Like, old school's probably been doing it since the 70s and 80s. So even then, because I was willing to be me, these other adults were able to see me and allow me to have different tools because of that confidence, because of that thinking outside of the box. And I don't know why. It's a gift from God. Like,
and it's a conversation that you had that changed your life.
Yeah.
Right?
And
like, it's both,
Yeah.
The other thing that, commentary on sevens in school is another hallmark piece of an Enneagram 7 archetype is they do not like limits. High school is very, there's limits, right?
I think I found that in college. I actually started in pre-law. My dad's an attorney, so my whole life was, you're going to go to law school and, like, work with your dad. And so I still had that story that I had connected into, like, oh, I have to do this because this is how I'll prove myself. And then realized that now, and then I was like, I'll go to nursing because everyone's told me I should become a nurse because I'm really good, like, I'm a good caretaker. Like, I don't mind that realm. So I was in, like, the pre-nursing, all those classes, and it was a professor, and he like, made the comment, he's like, your job as a nurse is to catch my mistakes. And I was like, nope.
Hard pass.
I was like, he's out, and I literally got up. This, not one of my finest moments in life. But I got up out of that class and I quit college.
That's 8-wing.
I was like, I don't know why I'm going to keep doing this then. So I'm just going to get out now.
Right. If I'm going to deal with mistakes, they're going to be mine.
I ain't got that kind of time. Like, who the hell you think I am? So, I mean, right? Like, I couldn't imagine, and people do it, right? Like, again,
Sure.
I talk about, like, it doesn't matter what brings you joy. It does not matter what ignites you. If it is cleaning, the floors,
Yeah.
or if it is being a bank teller, or if it is being a cashier, like, it does not matter. What matters is that you are following and listening to your heart.
Yep.
What matters is that you love yourself and that you're willing to experience joy every day.
Yeah. And that's like, my philosophy is everybody's purpose is the same. It is to experience life.
Yeah.
And the way in which we experience life is going to be different for each person. And so if you keep picking the things, make the choices that make you feel alive, you will deliver on your purpose. And so that's what it comes down to.
No,
and
it's true.
That joy comes from finding the things that make you feel alive. So we have to stop sleepwalking and wake up and make choices that make us feel alive.
Yeah.
And then we will find ourselves actually living.
Well, and I think that's where this Enneagram comes
Right.
in. Is it, if you do the work, and there's lots of tools. I love the Enneagram. I love the love languages one. I think that's one that everybody should do. And I go in seasons of which ones are relevant, right? Like, you do kind of like float through and use what you need. But I do think that if you really looked and did the work to find out your number, there's discoveries there to help you live a life more aligned.
Absolutely. It goes back to, in childhood, before you shift and lose your innocence and develop a personality that protects you, whoever you were, that's what you're going back to. You're going back to the personality, the motivations of your type take you back to your support number, which was that inner child, that natural person that your soul and your energy was destined to be, and you find that again. And that's why when you talk to your children about these important things, they're at their most powerful, pivotal moments to evolve into adults that become more self-aware and more loving and feel alive.
No big deal.
It's fine.
Just do
You
it.
got this.
Look at us.
We are so together. You have no idea.
But it's true.
It is true.
Again, right? Like, or you can just be like, yeah, it is. This is just what it is.
Yeah.
It's funny because I think,
And a lot of people do.
well, we've been talking about people grieve differently, right?
Absolutely.
I just lost my mom, and I'm not the type of person like, I'm just going to be sad. Like, and I get it. People are. People need to go and sit in the mud. But I see that even in this unfolding is like, how do I celebrate her? How do I bring her along with me? And how do I allow the grieving to happen when it needs to happen? Not this forced, I'm just going to sit in it and be here stuck for a month.
Yes. Can we talk about this a little more?
Sure.
So I want to speak to how you and your family collectively had a very unique way of working with your mom during her season of early onset Alzheimer's. Her mom passed away at the age of 63, barely 63, of early onset Alzheimer's, and it was September 24th. So very, very recently. And look at Rachel being able to speak about this and not being triggered. It's because of how she and her family managed and owned this season of life for her mother. And so I would love for you to share the unique way that you helped your mom transition.
Well, I think when I look back, she was diagnosed when she was 59, so 4 years ago. I acknowledged then that my mother was dying, right? Alzheimer's is a death sentence. There's no way around it. But I also knew that we had time. So a lot of my last 4 years has been, let's take family vacations with them, right? Like, let's have them over once a week for dinner. Like, how do you serve these people who have served you, right?
Right.
That's what parenting is. It is an act of service. And so now being able to serve them, what transpired is in March of this year, she had a major heart attack, and it progressed everything very quickly. And so we just said, we're going to set up camp and we're going to love her for where she is right now. And that was full-time care. Essentially, my dad and I did, we were there. He was there all the time, obviously 24/7. I was over there 6 to 7 days a week. And my brother and sister also played a heavy part in being there. And we were all at home, which was a blessing because we are joiners, we're gatherers, like we all like being together. And she even up, I think there's a lot, 'cause I'm like, well, do I talk about this? We allowed her to pass peacefully. We allowed her to be at home. We allowed for it to unfold in a way that this is natural. Death is part of life. So we had to accept the fact that she was dying. How do you make the dying process joyful? Well, you put her in her favorite room in her house. You allow anybody that says, hey, do you want a visitor to come in? You allow the community to feed you, right? I mean, we still are being fed. And Whitney, even up until the last few weeks, I mean, I watched and I witnessed her dance between heaven and earth. I witnessed her so connected to the land of holy, whatever that is for you. And then she would look over and recognize my dad and a tear would come. So, right, like, it was a miracle and a gift truly to watch this death, to allow this death, to accept this death. And I think that's the beauty in it. Am I sad I lost my mother? Of course, but I lost my mother years ago. And I do think that, and I did not realize the impact of those words I shared these last 8 months weekly on updates, what it did for others. Like,
powerful.
I did not get it because I didn't know how else to share it for Rachel. Like, I shared what I needed so that I could accept and heal.
Yep.
And I didn't even realize the fact that it was showing people that you can die with so much dignity and grace. You can die with so much love and understanding. That it can be, even for the person that you love, for our mothers, for our fathers, for our partners, that you can truly see it for what it was for us, which was her just going on to the next part of her life.
Yeah. And I think that, like, Alzheimer's, there's something really, as a mother, right, there's something really interesting about the mystery of Alzheimer's and the idea that it basically takes you back to infancy.
It was incredible to watch her reverse age. Truly, from not being able to feed herself anymore, not being able to change her clothes, to not being able to get out of the bed and needing extra care. And what I witnessed was the Alzheimer's went away. And this divine connected being came. Right? Everything stopped. And you go back to that childhood, that divineness, that innocence that our children hold.
Yep.
And you witness it in your parents. What an incredible gift to know that you can get back to that place.
Yes. Amen.
Yeah.
How y'all doing? Did you learn something? So, yes, let me see what Kyla says here. Yes, it's living in your truth without comparison, walking in your joy and your purpose. Yes, absolutely. And so I want this story to be shared because I think it's deeply important for us to know that as parents, as mothers, as parents, even if everybody owns a form of parenting, whether you have children or not. And you will come into that season and you will know you're there. And so I think this is an important lesson to know. And the story is remarkable. And as a parent, you might hear my baby screaming downstairs. Okay, so having said that, how has the Enneagram helped you in motherhood?
I think it has helped me because I can set boundaries around what I need and talk clearly to them. So as a 7 for me, I do find it, people are like, what's your self-care regimen? I don't know. Today it feels good to just be here. Like, this is self-care, right? Like, we don't need anything else. Like, anyway, that's a whole other thing. But it has helped me because I can say, like, I'm not a homework person. Don't ask me for homework help. I do the cooking and the cleaning and the loving and the shopping and all the other things. Like, that's not where my best mothering comes. So I want to be the best mother I can for you. Go ask. We live with so part of that story is we moved in with my parents about 3 months ago to help with this final stage. And so we're living with my dad, which is a blast. So I'm like, Paps is here. Like, Paps is in charge of homework. This girl is not. But it has helped me because I think it's okay to have those boundaries and say, no, I can't do that. This person can do it better for you.
Yes.
Right? So I think it's been major in that. I also see, like, I want to be the fun. Let's go shopping. Screw the list. Like, we'll figure it out later.
You do awesome things with your daughter all the time. Like, I see.
She's like my BFF.
You bring her to be with you when you go to experience life. And she gets to see that. And be a part of it.
Yeah, and I think my parents did that a lot. Like, I was always with them, and so it's really important. And she's 10 and a half, almost 11. She's 10 and 11/12. I have very candid conversations about women, about healthy women, about kindness, about and also being like, hey, we're talking, you need to go in the other room. This is not a conversation that you need to hear right now. But I think it's really important. Again, it's this idea that they're kids. But my mom didn't take me for manicures. My mom didn't do those facial things. And not that I don't go now and be like, I would have had a better life if she did. I say, there's things that I didn't experience with my mom that I would like to experience with my daughter.
Yes, that's the outlook.
That's the difference, right?
That's the outlook.
My mom and dad did the best. And when I look at my siblings, because we were all raised in almost different generations of their life, when my sister was born, they were so poor. They lived off of nothing. My dad was in school. My mom waited tables. When I was born, I was 6 when he graduated law school. Okay. So I saw them buy their first house. And then when my brother was born, my dad bought the Beamer. They bought a bigger house. Like, there was this different stages. Yes. And so I look now and they did the best in that season with each of us. And I've had experiences, Whitney, where it would be easy to hold resentments or, I wish, God, my mom sucked because she didn't. Like, I've never, ever, I can't recall a time where, like, if they were just better. Right. No. For some reason, again, I'm a little weird. Like, I have surrendered to that, ladies and gentlemen. But, like, I don't want to be judged. Why would I judge another? Yes. Like, that is like the lowest of the low on vibrations. Yeah. And so even as a kid, I understood that. Yeah. I was good with being like, cool, this is what you guys got. Yep. I'm sure there's stories that I've kind of put off, I'm sure I was an asshole. I was a teenager. I did all the stuff. But, like, yeah, and so I want to teach my kids the same thing. Yep, I love it. Yep. So that, kind of covers my parenting secrets, tips, and so forth that you could share that you think would help all parents. Yeah. And so, I could talk to you all day. Ditto. And sometimes we do, at least on text message, Yeah, it's good to have girls. It is. Ladies. This is part of my fabric. Rachel is part of my fabric. So, I hope
that you enjoyed this interview. I really appreciate the engagement. Rachel, for my viewers, if you could share how they can find you.
Go to Instagram, Rachel DesRochers. Hi, MK, love you. Love you, Christy. You can find me at Rachel DesRochers. You can find me at racheldesrochers.com, and that website will take you to Grateful Grams and the Incubator. Social media is the easiest. I'm on it.
Yes.
More than I need to be.
Same.
So,
I mean, it's okay.
love you, Kyla.
Yes, love you, Kyla. Hi, Mom. I see my mom waving.
Hi, Mom. I love her art.
Oh, I know.
my
She's a great
gosh,
artist.
She
yeah.
is a great artist.
If you guys want to see some great art, follow Watercolor by Julie. She's
Yeah.
awesome. Really talented artist.
Yep.
And this is Wellison Enterprises. You can find me on my handle, Wellison Enterprises. And thank you for everybody that joined. This was just like,
Thanks
this
for
is
having
the
me.
best way to kick off a weekend.
It is.
Again, Kelly Baldessari Media, thank you for sponsoring. She is giving away a free logo. Comment on this episode post for your chance to enter and win a free logo.
It's awesome.
That is like a solid
Yeah.
giveaway. Next week, we've got a great guest, Anna Nuremberg, who is a local entrepreneur, and she is on Monday at 9 a.m. That will be very
Fun.
exciting. Thank you again,
Oh my
Rachel.
God, thank you. I love you.
This was so fun. Love
Thanks
you
for
too.
having me.
Good stuff. All right.
Have
Bye,
a great
everybody.
weekend.
See ya.